Hi guys, took a second to get that thing to start going and I'm hoping everything's running. It seems like it is. If you're here, just drop me a comment so that I know it is, because you know I'm always a little technologically challenged when it comes to these streams. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm super excited to have you here and I'm hoping this gets a little jump start, literally, on your writing. And if you are just watching the replay, I hope this also helps you get going. I actually watched the replays this weekend because I was working on something and I really wanted to just concentrate. And as weird as it is to listen to my voice, it was kind of cool to see, you know, the heads down sort of writing thing. But a lot of times I'll play the channel just to make sure everything runs correctly and stuff. And I ended up using those while I was working on something else, which was kind of cool. Like, you know, using my sprints again for myself on top of everything else that I'm already doing. So welcome to everybody that is following us on YouTube. I know that there are a number of you that subscribed, and if you haven't already, you should, because I'll be telling you in the chatty part of this what kind of video is dropping on Wednesday. Nice to see you, Wendy. And if you're coming in from Facebook, welcome there too, but definitely check out the YouTube channel because there are a lot of things that I'm putting on YouTube that I'm not necessarily adding onto Facebook and Instagram or TikTok. Partly because of length, partly because of format. You know, YouTube can use the landscape format, the others not so much. And partly because of time. There's one me and there's a lot of content to get out there. So if you're not already part of the YouTube channel, I definitely encourage you to subscribe to it because you will be able to get access to the stuff that is already out and coming out. We have this really cool character video that is coming on Wednesday that I'm working on editing right now. And those of you who are part of my mastermind group have already had early access to the master plan character worksheet. And I can give you a little preview of that because remember I figured out how to do the presentation thing, except now I've forgotten exactly where I put that one. But yes, there is a character preview form that I've got that you guys can download after I run the video, because that's when I'm going to make it live for everybody. Right now it is just live for the people that are in my mastermind program. So you get that little extra preview of it. Oh, I figured I found it. Share my screen right here. So this is the master character plan that I have loaded, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff in here that you'll be able to use as you follow along in the video that we've created. It's in color here. I printed out black and white for myself when I did the video. So that video should drop sometime before 4 o'clock on Wednesday. And it will have all of the how-to to do this and also have some more tips than what's just on the paper. So you'll be able to learn how to use it and do all of those things. Nice to see you, Heather. Happy Monday. It is Monday, isn't it? I had a kind of crappy weekend with a pretty bad migraine, so I didn't get that much done and I feel like I'm way behind on this Monday. Anyways, drop a line and tell me what you're working on today. A lot of times Wendy is doing edits. I don't know if you are this week. I am starting that other project that I'm not telling you guys about yet. I'm very excited. I figured it out over the weekend and I'm going to get to start it today. So that should be super fun. I don't think I'll be able to finish it during these sprints. And if you're watching the replay and you have not done this before, here's the format. We do 3 10-minute sprints, play some music, you guys write as fast and as hard as you can, and then we come back and we answer any questions that anybody has. So if you have a question in the interim while we're writing, drop it in the comments and I will get to it when I come back. Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, the migraine was really awful. My husband was like, I don't know, maybe you should go to the doctor. I'm like, I've had him for years. It was just kind of a stormy weekend, and I think that was part of the problem. And half of Mo, no idea what she's doing, and the cat sat on my notes. Oh yeah, my dog does that kind of thing all the time. If I sit on the couch, you can't see her because she's sleeping on the couch over there. But yeah, she'll do that if I'm not paying attention to her. Anyways, let's get to our first 10 minutes because I'm pretty excited to get to my project and then come back and chat. And if you guys have any questions, again, just drop them in the chat and we will answer them. All right, so let's go to the background music and you guys have 10 minutes. There we go, 10 minutes. I got started on the story, had a couple of interruptions, a couple little business things to have to do, but I got started on the story and I kind of know where I want to go with it, which is always an exciting time. I don't know if the music is weird on your end. It's always weird on mine, but I think it might be because my Wi-Fi is being kind of cranky today. So let me know how you did. I only wrote, like I said, like 2 paragraphs. I didn't do a whole lot. A lot more of it is sort of planning in my head, but it's fun. It's fun to write something completely different from what I normally do, and I'm kind of excited to see how it turns out. And if you missed it last week, I did a video on dialogue, and I'm posting the link right there, and all on the 7 rules of dialogue, basically, and what it needs to have and what it needs to do in order to be effective on your page. If you guys watched it, let me know what you learned, what new technique you learned, what new tip you learned, or how you employed that in your writing. Because my whole goal here, not just with the videos, but with the live streams and everything, is to teach you everything that I know so you guys don't have to write 10 books in 8 years before you sell your first one. It took me forever. Anyone who knows me knows that frustration that I went through. So let me know if there's any questions or if you learned anything from that dialogue video that you are super excited about with your dialogue for your book. I know that sometimes it's really hard to get all of those skills under your belt and to use them all at one time. But if you watch it enough and you use some of it, it'll eventually all become intuitive and become an innate thing that you know as you're writing. You can feel it in your gut, whether you're kind of taking the easy way out or doing what you need to do. Good job, half a mo on 253 words. That is awesome. Definitely way more than me. And Wendy got a new scene with 112 words. That's awesome, though. Just starting a new scene, I think, is always kind of cool. Heather, thank you. The pressure system with the migraine, it's still kind of just lingering. I'm not sure. I still have a meeting left tonight for work, so I have like a 6:30 to 7:30 meeting. We'll see how that goes. I think it'll be an early night for me after that. I think it's just like the hurricane that's offshore and all of that stuff. I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist, but if Jim Cantori shows up, then it's a bad day. And Heather, I'm glad you're feeling better. And half a mo, thank you. She said that she loved the dialogue post, having trouble fine-tuning the goals. Not good to go in with that situation, but it really helped me to think about their greatest fear instead. Yes, figuring out the character's greatest fears is really a great way to start. And there's going to be a lot more on that in the character video that I'm going to release on Wednesday. Because when you do that to them, it really forces them to grow and change, because we all know that we hate doing that, right? But when you know what your character's deepest fear is, whether that's ridicule or abandonment or not being loved or whatever that happens to be, you can work that in with your dialogue and everything else that you're doing. And so every little part of your plot can move forward with those particular things in mind. So, and if you're having trouble with the goal, and you know what your character's deepest fear is, then you give them a goal that forces them to conquer their deepest fear. So let's say that your character's deepest fear is leaving Earth. I'm working on something sort of sci-fi right now, so that's where my mind is at. Let's say their deepest fear is going up in the air and leaving Earth and not having control. Like, I hate heights, so that would be my deepest fear, is having to do something up high. Then you give them a goal that involves doing that, because then they have to constantly grow and change and become stronger. So maybe the aliens invade, like Independence Day, and they have to get up in a little crop duster plane and shoot the aliens. So these characters are overcoming their greatest fears because they have to. My husband and I are watching Invasion right now on Apple TV. And it's really good. They start with a nice ordinary world and then some character development. But each of these characters have basically their greatest fears happen to them very early on in the show, and they have to overcome them. There's a school kid who has epilepsy, and he has to overcome his fear of just going into epileptic shock in order to save everybody and stuff like that. And it's constantly having to do that. Same thing with the mom. It's just really good the way that they're doing that. And yes, Wendy, if Jim Cantori comes to your town, it's a bad situation. He was here for Hurricane Idalia, where I live, and then as it shifted, he left, and so we all figured that was good. And a little funny side note, we have a local brewery here that creates a beer just for him. So, and Kathy Schaus, glad you're back here on the scene working on your book. That's awesome. And Hefamo, Ted Lasso was so interesting to look at goals and fears. Absolutely. Ted Lasso is a very emotionally based story. And I think that is part of what made everybody resonate with it so well. And when you look at each of those individual characters, and with that, that's an ensemble cast. So each of them have to have a goal and a fear. Even though Ted's the main character, you have other characters that are pretty close secondary characters to his main character. And they all had to have storylines that were important. And it was very amazing how they kind of tied everything in with what Ted was going through and other characters were going through. I really loved Ted Lasso. We watched the whole thing. I wasn't wild about the third season, but I think a series never ends the way you really want it to. So speaking of that, I think we should do another writing thing, instead of just talking. So let's go for another 10 minutes and I will see you guys on the other side. And I hope you have happy writing. Okay, that was another 10 minutes. I got a little bit further in what I was doing, and I was pretty excited about that. It was actually kind of fun. I know I had something else I wanted to show you guys. Oh, yes, the Circle community. If you aren't already a member, and I know I talk about it a lot, but we're loading lots of things in there. And one of them is these free handouts that we have for everybody. So this one is about people that overthink. I don't know about you, but I totally overthink everything. Probably half the reason I don't sleep is because I'm overthinking everything in my life. Just like last night, I was thinking about this piece that I'm working on right now, and I was probably overthinking it. So anyways, this is kind of a handout that we created with tips on how to stop overthinking. And we have all kinds of things like that. And we also have a book club. And this month we are doing Lisa Unger's The Stranger Inside. I just did a video on that. I love Lisa Unger. I haven't read all of her books yet, but I've read several of them. So if you're not a member yet, go ahead and join. It's free. I'll just pop a link into the chat. And you can have access to all of that other stuff. Some things are only open to some of the bigger, deeper handouts, the free workbooks and things like that. Some of those are only open to the masterminds, but 90% of the community is open for free to everybody, so you don't have to be a mastermind. Oh, Half a Mo, thank you for joining the Circle community. Excited to see you over there. And Heather, probably a fellow overthinker. Yeah, I do a lot of that where I'm a little too worried about things. It's definitely a common problem for writers where people are always worried about whether the book is as good as it can be. And somebody asked me, I think it was just last week, how do you know when a book is done? And I'm not sure for me that they're ever 100% done. I always think that they can be better. But eventually you have to let it go, kind of like a child, right? Eventually they're as grown as they're going to get, and you've instilled them with as many great lessons as you can. And so you've got to let it go and realize that at that moment in time, that was the best you could do at that moment in time. And with the next book, you get better and better and better. So that's the whole point of learning. And if I have books that I wanted to go back and redo, I just wait for the rights to revert to me, and then I redo them and then re-release them. But seriously, you can't worry about it too much because there is only so much you know and only so much you can do at that particular moment in time. And if you're allowing that overthinking to paralyze your writing or to keep you from submitting or self-publishing, then that's a problem. Then that becomes a handicap, not necessarily something that is driving you to be better. So you've got to weigh how much is this getting in my way and preventing me from doing what I want to do, and how much is it really driving me to be better. So as much as, we all know that we want to be the best writer ever, nobody's the best. And I definitely learned that whole lesson when I launched the YouTube channel. If you look at my early videos, they're early videos, right? Like I had done some TV back when I was young, but I was not a video editor by any stretch of the imagination. And the quality is bad, the audio is bad. Like I didn't know what I was doing. The information's good, I think, but the quality is not what I would like it to be. And even the ones that I'm doing now are not at where I would like them to be because I still don't know those skills. But I am releasing them anyways because it is more important to me to get the information out there than to have them be perfect. Because I could sit here for another year and learn how to do video editing, and then you all would go another year without having this information. So I would much rather get it out there. And if that's what's keeping you from working, you got to set it aside and keep going. All right, speaking of which, we have one more 10-minute session, and then we can chat if we have anything else anybody wants to talk about. If not, I will be seeing you guys on Thursday. So 10 more minutes. Let's write. Wow, another 10 minutes, and I am loving what I'm doing here. The character is really kind of coming to life for me, which is kind of cool. He's not the same. I don't know how much I wrote today. Maybe 700 words in, 807 words in, as he was when I first started. So I'm going to have to go back and definitely change some of the early parts to sort of make this work with the character that he is becoming. But yay, half a mo and the 354 words. Well, you're over in the UK, so even if it's not English, you could use another language and get away with it, right? I don't know if you've seen Escape to Rural France. It's a YouTube show with a guy who is rebuilding a chateau in France. And literally the entire inside was burned, and it's like 4 or 5 stories tall, and he's doing it all himself, and it's just insane. But us Americans love that British accent, and he's funny and scary to watch because he kind of doesn't entirely know what he's doing. And nice, writing in pure Scots. I love that accent too. I love accents. Anyways, it's a cool little YouTube channel to watch every day. He puts out a new video, and you're just kind of horrified and amazed at what he's doing without like a hard hat and gloves and proper kind of equipment. Anyways, thank you all for joining me today. And as I said here, don't be a wisher, be a doer. That was one of the videos I released the other day. And I encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can watch the character video that I'm going to release on Wednesday, along with the free workbook that I'm going to put up on Wednesday. And half a mo as one more question. Would you have any tips for not running the conversation into a dead end? I've just realized I have a constant problem where I kill where they're going with it. So what you want to do is apply some of the same techniques to your dialogue as you do to scene and sequel. So with the concept of scene and sequel, which I've not done a video about, but hopefully you're a little bit familiar with it. Scene and sequel is the character has a goal for the scene, and at the end of the scene, they either get their goal or they don't. But either way, things get worse, because if things get better, then the book is going to be resolved. So let's say your character needs to go to the bank to get a loan from the mean bank manager, and she either gets the loan but has to marry the evil bank manager, or she doesn't get the loan, and what's worse, the bank manager is like, I'm just taking the house now. So she either got her goal or she didn't, and things got worse. So when your character has a conversation with another character, they should go into it with a goal of whatever information they want to get out of the other person, get across to the other person, or resolve or not resolve. And you need to decide, are they going to get it or not? And how are things going to get worse? So they're going to say something, or the other person's going to say something that makes things worse. That's a way to keep from going into a dead end and keep things continually escalating with the stakes and the tension. Yay, Wendy, you got like 300 and some odd words today. That is awesome. 350 or so altogether. That's really great. Let me know if that helps you, half a mo, when you go back and rework your dialogue. Sit down, decide what the goal is for your character, the point of view character in that dialogue exchange, and whether they get it or they don't, and how things get worse, because that makes them change and grow. Awesome. So I will see you guys on Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And again, look for the video on Wednesday and be sure to subscribe. And thank you for being here, everybody. You guys are the best.